it's those kind of issues that have been a thorn for many years for our company and many other companies. And oftentimes, through that history, the fines have been a few $1,000s, or typically under $10,000. And then we chalk it up to it being, part of our business and a cost of doing business, basically. And so we forget it and go move on to the next project. Well, this particular case amounted to a fine and penalties and back wages in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I had to fight this one. I'm going to just go through my thoughts and then I'll get into the case. But what the Department of Industrial Relations, which I'll refer to as the DIR, is really regulating us out of business. Businesses are automatically guilty before proven otherwise. Alleged back wages and penalties are accused frivolously to be paid up front before any hearing or settlement process begins. I had to put my glasses on. The agency is growing by doubling without proper oversight. The fines have quadrupled in 2012 without proper oversight. The DR presumes all California businesses are criminals. This is an undercurrent force that has to stop. A complete conflict with every worthy job creation effort currently going on. And Ben was right. As a result of this case, we made a conscientious decision not to bid or go after public works jobs, which really cut our workforce in half. Thereby, those dollars are not coming into Chico anymore. So the case at Point is a project that we did for UC Merced. We built a new student housing project there, and the payroll was from our company alone was 1.6 million, and most of most of our employees were from Chico that traveled down to do the project. So, and a lot of them were making over $100,000. That's and so that's good money coming back into Chico or Butte County. Out of the blue, a year and a half after we were completely finished with the project, we were assessed by the DIR for $390,000, and we were presumed guilty. So either we had to pay the full amount up front without no hearing, or fortunately our bonding company was able to bond around this. But that still cost a premium. We still had to hire an attorney, and at that point we still had not a hearing. In fact, it was until 60 days after we were assessed that we had a preliminary hearing. Like I said, the wage determinations formulas are very complex. They are uniquely area specific and by classification, and the DIR cannot give proper determination. It's very rare that we can just simply make a phone call and ask for the determination what the wage is. We don't get the information. But yet they're doubling in size, they're increasing their staff. I just can't explain it. In fact, as we were fighting this job, we had another public works project going on, a smaller one, and we made 5 phone calls to the DIR. I hope you're listening. We made 5 phone calls, and we couldn't get an answer of what the wage was. Oftentimes, the wage rate will change in the middle of a project. And to find out what that wage is nearly impossible to find out, but yet we're guilty if we're not paying the right wage. Okay, then, so we had our first hearing, and it was a preliminary hearing, and I had my attorney with me, and we were supposed to meet with their attorney. Well, their attorney was late and didn't show up. So we just talked to the hearing officer, and we had our case ready and presented to the hearing officer. And remember, this is $390,000 fine that we're fighting. We talked for 5 minutes with the hearing officer, and she said that, yes, you are correct. You only owe $20,000 in back wages and another $17,000 in fine, less than 10% of what the actual original assessment was. But not before having to hire an attorney, having to spend the time and energy to fight this. It was a very frivolous case. Another point I'd like to make is, we, at that point in our history, we had one full-time person in our staff, in our office, that just dealt with these kind of issues, to find out, to do the proper thing, to find out what the right wage rate was, to do the right thing. And yet, it was impossible to do the right thing. What's even worse is this case happened in 2011. If it would have happened in 2012 or this year, our penalty would have been $750,000. It's just out of control. And like I said, as a result, this project is what broke the straw over the camel's back for us. And so we're no longer bidding and going after public works jobs, and it's creating a job decline in our area because they are good jobs. I think that's all I have to say. So, if you have questions.
So we'll catch and get you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I spent the first half of my life in Southern California. If you even know who your legislators are, trying to get them on the phone is almost impossible. Trying to get one to come to speak with you is out of the question. We here in the North State are blessed, obviously, with a better lifestyle than those people in Southern California, but we're obviously blessed with the opportunity to know our legislators firsthand. With that, I'd like to introduce to you our North State Assemblyman, Dan Loeb.
Well, I have to tell you how much I appreciate talking to you. You may not know it, but you really are the hope of this world. Obama's a citizen of the world, and you're the hope. And you get it. Appreciate you coming here tonight. Part of the reason I was asked to come here is to discuss a little bit about the town hall meeting I had in Chico about a month ago. And it was the Air Resource Board came to Chico. Now, we only expected about 80 people. We got 350.
Amen.
It was a great turnout. And you know what? I want to tell you something. That town hall meeting reverberated up and down the entire state of California. I met with Cal OSHA yesterday. No, it was the Cal EPA that came to see me, the director. And, excuse me, he did it. He says, yeah, I heard about the town hall meeting. He says, it's reverberating throughout the state. And I said, good. I said, if we don't change the way we treat people, it's going to reverberate a lot more. Because we've got businesses hanging on by a thread. As a result of that 2-hour meeting, I just talked to my friend Bud Caldwell and setting up a group we're working on right now to bring the issues of the diesel emissions issue to the forefront with CARB and their staff and try to get some to listen to what's happening in the real world. The testimonies at the hearings were fantastic, some of the best I've ever heard, and the people were just incredible. You couldn't get in the room. You couldn't even find a place to sit on the floor. It was so packed. And it was a powerful statement. And I know that the governor got wind of it because he's heard about what's happening in the district and in the North State. The thing that's amazing is we have some of the best air in the state, but we aren't getting reimbursements for these filters that they're asking the truckers to put on their trucks. We got off-road and on-road issues, and the reason that we have been losing this fight is they have played this kind of smart. They have been isolating groups. And they're going after truckers, then they're farmers, then the off-road vehicles, and they're isolating one piece at a time. It's not an accident. So I was telling Bud, I says, you know, what we need to do is consolidate and bring all these groups together under one umbrella and have many voices. And I said, the Tea Party, and the truckers, and the farmers, and the businesses, and NFIB, we should have one huge group. Ladies and gentlemen, you're never going to get a vote because you've got a politician to like you. Politicians spell respect, F-E-A-R. That's a fact. And the only way we're going to win this fight is we've got to take the fight to these guys. Sacramento has basically abandoned representative government and has handed over the power of this state to a bunch of bureaucrats who've been appointed, not elected. That's what the problem is. And Mr. Nielsen, next time that happens to you, please get hold of me, because I will go with you to meet with the Air Resource Board or the Labor Commissioner, whoever. I will go with you. That should never happen. I had other instances like that, and I don't know if you were in the town hall meeting when I brought the commissioner to Chico 6 months ago. I wish you'd been there, because 2 hours, standing room only, and we had testimonies similar to yours, and it was pretty amazing, and the ladies and the people were talking about the abuses, and one gentleman said, hey, he goes, they came in and they fined me $3,000, then he went over and talked to my daughter and said, I could have fined your father $20,000, will you go to dinner with me? That's a true story. So the governor read about it in the paper, and he calls me up on my cell phone a week later and says, is this true? And I says, Governor, the people of this state are shaking down the businesses in the state, and it's absolutely true. So he said, but be willing to bring them down, and I did. And I got to tell you the story. It was amazing. So we're sitting around the table, and the Labor Commissioner, Sue, was there, and I got to give her credit. I mean, she inherited a rough situation, and she came to Chico, and she took it. It's pretty gutsy. So she's sitting at the table, and I've had 4 groups from Butte County and Willows. And we came to the last person, it was a lady, and he said to her, what is the issue with you? And she said, Governor, she goes, I have a small business, and the commissioner's office fined me because they said I didn't pay $281 to somebody who never showed up for work. He was absent, he never could hold a job. And we had all the documents, Governor, and we got fined $20,000, Governor. And she said, Governor, they called us back and said, let's settle for 10. And I said, Governor, I wasn't going to settle for 10 because, Governor, we were right. She said, so we appealed their decision. And we won the appeal, Governor. And it cost me $40,000 to be right. And she looked at the governor and she started to cry. And she said, Governor, doesn't being right matter anymore? Doesn't it make a difference? And you could have heard a pin drop. And I looked at the governor, I said, Governor, this is a shakedown. And it has to stop.
That's right.
And he agreed. So I understand the battle that we have before us. The representative government is diminishing. We're making all these commissioners and these appointments that's affecting unemployment. Rick Perry came to California a month ago. And all these politicians are mad. Why is he doing here to steal jobs back to Texas? And I wrote an op-ed and I said, you know, why are you upset about that? It's our fault. He's here. Look in the mirror. We're the ones driving these businesses out of here in record number like never before. And he did this radio ad for 30 seconds throughout the state. So I did an op-ed that the LA Times published, and they were really upset with me because this is what I said. I said, Governor Brown, why don't we go to Texas to bring those jobs to California? And then I gave a 30-second ad on why we can. We're number 1, Governor, in poverty. We're number 1 in unemployment. We love to hunt small businesses and fight them, Governor. We have exchanged the black tie for red tape. We're driving people out. But we have Disneyland. That's a true story. So the LA Times got hold of it and published it and said it was stinging sarcasm, and I said it was absolute, honest truth. And we've got to turn the state around, but it can't happen, and you're the ones that are going to do it. We're going to do it together. I don't know how many of you ever heard of AB 32? Raise your hand. Greenhouse gas emissions law? Daryl knows. When I first got elected, I was one of the only legislators in the history of the state to ever get a ballot measure on the ballot called Prop 23. I wrote it and I got it on the ballot. And it was to suspend AB 32. And if you think diesel emission laws are bad, wait till you get to AB 32. I'll never forget meeting with Mary Nichols in Oakland, because I'm on natural resources with another legislator, and they handed us a chart on the impacts of greenhouse gas and how they're going to control it. And I looked at it, and I said, Roger Nilo was with me, I said, Roger, look at this. And it was, how do we control the size of your house, how far you commute, the car that you drive, the size of the business you work in, the amount of water that you use, the agriculture that you use, your air conditioning, your central heat, your central air, your water heater, everything. And I said, Roger, do you see this? He said, this is a blueprint to control every part of our life. And he said, his mouth fell open. And that's when I put Prop 23 on the ballot, to fight this. Because not only in California do we determine how you live, but now we're literally taxing the air that you breathe. Think of that. 2 years ago, I took 10 legislators and even got Gavin Newsom to go with me to Texas. And I got off the plane, and the Associated Press said, what's it like to live in Texas? And I said, I don't know, but and he goes, what do you think about it? I says, well, in Texas, the air is free to breathe. He goes, what? I said, California, they charge you $50 a ton. What? That's how bad it is. We're being taxed to death. They're regulating you to death and out of business. And you know what? I met Joe Vranich, who's a friend of mine, and he's a business relocation coach, and he told me last year, the first time in his career, he's seen the employees asking the employers to leave California. I had a gentleman in my office, and he said, Dan, I paid $700,000 in state taxes last year. I'm leaving. You're going to have to find 10,000 jobs to replace me. How's that going to work out? People are leaving. They're not going to put up with it. You're looking at the flight of the middle class in this state right now. And we haven't even got the Obamacare yet. That's going to be a disaster. $20,000 for a family of 4 and 5, starting entry level for Obamacare. So what they've done, ladies and gentlemen, is they've set up a government where they basically have the excuse to dictate every part of our life. The way we fight this fight is you do what you're doing tonight. You could be home watching the Giants game, but you're here. And I'm here with you. I wake up every morning. I say to my wife, how do we take the fight? Every day. And we win a lot of battles. We're moving the ball. And we can only do that as long as you stand with us. There's a reason why we are where we are today, because we've let it happen. If I had $1 for every business in 20 years that said they were too busy to get involved, I'd be a multi-millionaire. Now's the time. I had a businessman come to me and he said, hey, they're taxing me, they're regulating me. I said, what have you done to stop? He says, no, not much. I says, they'll put the popcorn down. Get on the field with us. Take the fight. Because they're never going to stop as long as they know that they can get away with it. You're doing it. You're organized. Build a coalition of truckers and farmers and businesses and NFIB and Small Business Association. Go out of this room tonight. Get hold of Bud. We'll get you people that can organize it. When you go to Sacramento, I want them to sit up and take notice, because you're the ones that are going to turn the state around. We can do it. 2014 is going to be our year. I think the wheels are going to come off this state. I think the public's fed up with the crime, taking the rights to bear arms, regulating every part of our lives. It's like Rick Perry told me when we were in Texas. He said, Dan, you can't be for jobs and against business. Gavin, it doesn't work. And that's a fact. So You know, I just want to wrap this up by reading you something from a person in